Welcome back, everyone. I am D-Man, joined by DJ Wheat, of course, Kobe as well, 24 with me. Team MRN, wow, they've just moved on to face DirtNap Gaming. We've had some epic matches this morning. The final match of the day is going to be coming up soon. DJ Wheat, you were sat in the wings watching that. What a crazy match.
What a crazy matchup it was indeed. I mean, there's no doubt some exciting games like all weekend from Team MRN, but there were some situations that happened throughout that particular game that we didn't even get to see because there was actually so much action going on at any given point in the game.
We really had fights going on that were so long that we had people respawning and rejoining the fight.
Right. That's you don't see that too often. And then of course the Olaf juke. I mean, that happened at the end. We just expected off screen. Olaf's, it was nice knowing you, but didn't quite get to see the end of it. So I don't know if that'll be one of the plays that we saw, that we'll see. Jack goes over, but what an amazing just play from everyone this weekend, and we're not just talking about that last matchup. Talking about every team that fought for their last chance today. I mean, it's sad to see some of these teams go, but it just goes to show how hard you've got to work and the advantages and the disadvantages that we're seeing across the board with some of these teams.
Yeah, and we've seen it so many times in tournaments across the years. I think it's safe to say we've both covered a lot of tournaments in our time, but a team that goes 1-0 down just can come back and get that momentum and just fly through. And it seemed to be that way because MRN were in control in that third match.
Yeah, I mean, and when you're up against a team that's 3 weeks old, think about all the teams that you can do research on. You can watch streamers with. You can, you can go back and you can review the builds that Leaguepedia has set up. Not having that research there, this is also what DirtNap Gaming said that they didn't necessarily want to be up against. That mystery, that air of what do we do?
Urgot Tarek.
Right, but they know, right? Come here. So
now they know one.
What do you think? Because we've seen sort of all their bag of tricks.
Yeah.
Is there another trick inside this bag? Because DirtNap Gaming, the one thing that they've shown, obviously, we've got consistency, we've got a solid team, and we've got a lot of different things that we can do with a team comp.
Yeah, and the other thing about MRN, everyone was pretty much in consensus on what to ban, and you see that's why they didn't change up their bans. They were like, okay, we need to get rid of that Riven for Mega Zero. That's ridiculous.
Right.
We need to get J4 out of the way for Claky D, and then the Anivia for Echo. So everyone's like, which one of those do you take out for Urgot?
Right.
Do you want to
I mean, what do you guys think, right? How many teams have we seen over the course of just League in general, specifically Season 2 and Season 3, where teams have zoned out in picks and bans because they fear these champs coming in or these champs being banned out, and here we have one of these situations with MRN. I mean, what do you guys? Is that unusual?
Well, I mean, we saw it from game one. Kha'Zix snuck through. So it was a case of there's only so many major champions you can ban, and we talked about it during there. It's a really big question for these guys. Who are they going to focus on? Who would you focus on?
Well, after sitting through those games, I would definitely ban Urgot, unless you have a good counter strategy already, because both of those times they went head to head. They were like, okay, we're going to do our 2 versus 2 lane. How would it be in a 1 versus 2 lane? How would it be, like, can we send 2 middle or something instead? There's always some way around a champion. This game is actually really flexible, as the Koreans have shown. You can do stuff besides banning to get around these strategies.
Well, you've seen what we think. You've heard all from us throughout. For many hours you've heard from me. But let's toss it over to Jat to get some expert analysts on some of the crazy plays that happened in that last game.
All right, thanks, guys. I want to focus on the team fight that happened right at the end of the game in Game 2. Obviously, MRN's team comp was very similar between Game 2 and 3. It was all about just straight-up zerging everyone as fast as possible. This fight actually opens up and goes on for 54 seconds. So let's roll it right here. You can see the initiation actually comes from Meat Playground and King Clan's Alpha. I like to pause it here. And you can see the Shenel was coming into Ahri at this moment. She's going to ride off, kill Amumu. Mega Zero is deep in the team fight right here. Cannot be disabled. Zoning everyone out and just surging. Let's roll it for a bit and see how Meat Playground actually does a pretty good job of kiting back here. NK gets finished off. Mega Zero gets out with the sliver. But you realize they couldn't finish off Balls' Kog'Maw. They chase all the way to the base. Arthalon pops a very good Zhonya's. It stalls things. Balls is healing up. At this point, it's starting to look like they might have chased too far. Everyone in the voice chat was screaming, fall back. Let's pause it right here. And you can see Claky D, when we had to listen in, said he was dead. Lemon God was zoning perfectly with that Nunu ult. They'd all healed up at the fountain. Everyone for MRN was looking extremely low at this point, and they were saying fall back. So let's roll it and see what actually happens through the rest of the fight. They get knocked up with a rupture. Claky D was correct. He is dead. Everyone's back. They're saying, get the inhibitor. What do we do? What do we do? The clutchest of charms comes in from Echo's Ahri right onto Balls, and as soon as they land it, you see the motivation of everyone else just flipping on its head. They charge in. Mega Zero is back. The Baron buff healed him up. They chase it in and finish off the rest of the game. Everyone forgot about Cog except for Echo. He Zonya's off the Cog passive, keeps himself alive, and they finish off the game. So as we continue on to the next round, the Urgot composition of fully zerging the enemy. What is going to be Prawley's and the rest of DirtNat Gaming's answer to deal with that composition?
Thanks, chat, and well, some crazy plays throughout that match. All right, folks, it's going to be time for our very last match of the day. It is the North American qualifiers right here in the Riot Studios in Los Angeles. It's DirtNap Gaming. They came through versus the very last team remaining. MRN came through the online qualifiers. Who will it be? That is the question.
Yeah, it is the question, and we're going to find out very soon. Guys, there's 2 teams left. For one, the dream of Season 3 becomes a reality, and for the other, that dream ends today. It's our very last matchup of the tournament. Ladies and gentlemen, DirtNap Gaming versus Team MRN. It comes up right after this.
Welcome back, everyone. I'm Rivington Bislin III, joined by David Freak Turley, and this is it, what is being considered Last Chance Sunday by the community on Twitter. It is the last match of the tournament, and it is here to be played out. 2 wins for either Dirtnap Gaming or Team MRN will decide who will fill the 8th and final slot for that Season 3 contract, Freak. The past 3 days have been very intense for our competitors, but they haven't seen anything yet. Here's the pros breaking down what it takes to be a professional gamer.
Well, one thing that these teams do know is that it's not really just a game anymore. It's a job.
I actually never had a job before this.
We have a huge advantage. We're older, and a lot of these guys, a lot of these new teams, they're like 17, 18. This is their first time away from home.
These players are new to the whole scene. They're new to like practicing. They're new to, being with their teammates. I know they're gonna flip out on each other. They're gonna blame each other, and it's gonna be hilarious.
All the time you spend from now on, you should be analyzing why you did something right or why you did something wrong.
Number one thing that makes a pro player is the mindset to improve. You have to train so hard. You put everything on the line.
You should be watching replays. You should be playing the game to improve yourself constantly.
You're playing 12 hours a day, every day.
A pro player will have a better understanding of how to actually press their advantages, whereas an amateur player will just, even if they do secure an advantage early, which they do a lot of times, they won't know what to do with it.
And that's where the pro player actually matters.
Everyone says like hard work and all this stuff, but I think like 80-90% of it is just good genes. I don't know, I just had to go to Chowster School. That was pretty much it. It was pretty easy. Chowster School, it's nothing much. I just yell at people until they start listening. He yelled at me for 8 months, and then I got good.
Without the motivation to practice and play professionally, then good luck.
Guys, big ups to every single player here in our competition for what it takes. We've said it over and over. It's just the mentality of being in a different place, a different setting. Jat said, after this 3rd day now, everybody should be set up, and you have to admire all of that dedication. Freak, it's time for our final match between 2 teams who have never faced off once against each other.
Not at all, but these guys, you heard actually Prawley's interview if you tune in the beginning of the day. He said, we would rather fight Meat Playground. We're confident against Meat Playground. We don't know a thing about the other team. And actually, Heartbeat, after they won the 3rd game, they were walking back, running to the bathroom, and Heartbeat just says, I don't think that comp is beatable.
You know what's funny is I was standing next to, I believe it was Prophet, as Prawley came off the stage, and he goes, we want MRN. So there was kind of a back and forth there. It depends on really what they want. Maybe probably said this or that, but that means they have confidence on both sides. Their team knows they can just go through either, I guess that means. But amazing for them, and like you said, MRN thinks that comp is unbeatable. I heard him say that as well, and we're like, all right, well, let's see what you have. They played it 2 times in a row, and MRN's been going around doing the head games. Like we've been saying, you were saying, got to find that team that could be good at head games, and I want to take off of that. MRN's saying, well, they're obviously not going to run Urgot Tarek again. You guys are just going to know. They did.
Of course they did.
Of course they did.
And the thing is, I remember at the very, very first cast of the day, I was interviewing Kobe24 about his experience playing the World Cyber Games Finals, and I asked him, what was that series like? You came down, 0-1 in the series, and you came back to win the best of 3. And he said, we didn't have time to react. We didn't have time to learn a new strategy or formulate what the counter comp would be, so we just banned Twisted Fate. The North American metagame at the time was about playing grouped up as 5 and just kind of mashing your heads together. And that split push from TF, it broke our brains. We didn't know what to do, so we just banned out the elements that mattered. Now, the thing is, MRN, they've been taking bans to Jarvan the 4th, Anivia, and Riven over and over and over and over again. And this time, I think they'll get to drop the Riven ban and just throw the Urgot ban out there and just take it completely off the table. I wouldn't... When you're down here, you have only a best of 3 to go, and you're down to the wire, you don't know how to play against that comp. You haven't seen it in forever. At this point, I wouldn't say trust your intuition. I'd say just throw a ban out there, get it out of the way, and move on.
And you mentioned the bans at MRN that were going towards them, that Clicky D's Jarvan. And it's funny how long it really took people to take that into full consideration. They pushed it off. They pushed it off. We've seen it in Korean play. I saw it in Thailand when I went over there. And it is really coming to fruition, the way the Season 3 changes are coming out. And we see how Clicky D utilizes it in a very sneaky way. And then he'll choose junglers as well that amplify that. Shen can also dash over walls. The movement from Nocturne. So he has the champion pool there, but that Jarvan, like you said, is a big hit that they can take out.
It is, and really it's a play style sort of change. Like, you look at the players, actually really you can tell it in the junglers especially, in the top laners especially. You look at players like X-Hazard, who pretty much played Shen, Cho'Gath, and Malphite basically every single game for Meet Playground because he's a tanky initiator, just beefy sort of player. Mega Zero, you saw him do really, really well with Aurelia and Riven on the first day, and then falter a bit with Cho'Gath. And I talked to him this morning, and I'm like, what are you guys going to do? You're coming into the series, and he says, I need to get back on champions that can carry. I need to go back on, bruisers, Aurelia, Olaf, people like that. I need to pick those champions back up. And you saw him, even though he had a great Cho'Gath game, that wasn't the type of champion that best suited his play style. And you talked about Clicky D. He picks champions who go in and dive and initiate fights, become tanky, and create action. That's what the team needs from him, and he's got enough champions he knows that he can kind of always do that.
Freak, these matches today have brought us to the best of 3. Each time, the Urgot composition now coming out from Marn. They say it's uncounterable. It is coming into that late game where you can't stop it. Urgot's way too tanky. The swap is the obliteration of your teammate. What can Dirtnap Gaming do besides just banning? If they do let him get Urgot, maybe they know and they want it and they'll focus it. Or maybe they'll let him get a Nivea and focus out a Nivea. What do you think they can do if they do get the Urgot combo?
So the way Urgot really works is he's there to catch someone out.
Right.
That's what he's going to do. He's going to either flash swap or just walk at you, and then you made a mistake if Urgot walked at you and he got you.
The hyperkinetic position reverser.
The hyperkinetic position reverser, it just punts you. It's so harsh to deal with, and you either get to the point where your AD carry gets a Quicksilver Sash, or you get a team full of guys where you don't care if you swap them. Katarina's a champion where you don't really care if you swap her because she'll just jump right back out, or Zhonya's or whatever. So you've either got to find champions that work there, or have the best regimen ever where no one gets caught out.
Well, they're leaving Urgot in. They left the Anivia on the ban list. Malphite Jarvan as well. We'll have to see what they pick. The Jace has gone out. Kha'Zix as well. Could be an Evelynn. It is an Evelynn.
I don't expect Jace, Kha'Zix, Evelynn to ever drop off the ban list, and that's why I mentioned you drop Riven off the ban list, because Chris, we've talked about it all tournament long, it's his main champion.
He's in his comfort zone.
Yep, it's a really big deal there. Interestingly, though, Dirtnap Gaming had actually banned out Nunu a whole heck of a lot, and talking to Mega Zero, he said that in their back pocket they had a lot of Nunu comps ready of playing hyper carries in the back line. Ooh, they are going to give up Riven. And the thing is, honestly, Riven's not that scary of a pick here for Mega Zero. He did well on Olaf, he did well on Aurelia. That's not the biggest tier of difference here. I don't think the Malphite ban matters whatsoever. I think that's actually a wasted ban and lack of research. Because there's, but the steal away on Shen is a good choice.
I was going to say that Malphite ban is weird. We haven't really seen it coming from these two teams that much. Meet Playground and Marn, we saw it within their bans, but to this team, you don't see Malphite on that much. It's not X-Hazard.
No, exactly. It's not really the kind of champion he wants. So the insta-lock there on Nocturne, and there's the Taric showing up. I mean, they're already playing their cards. Right now, Dirtnap Gaming knows exactly what comp is coming. And I thought in Game 3 that Shen was going to be the way to break that, because the shield would just keep alive whoever got hit here. But you look at this, they're actually comping much better. Lulu, it's a big deal.
Yeah, they're going to be able to get that shield on who's swapped and the wild growth. That's good.
Exactly. They've got so much. They have so many tools now to deal with that. And the thing is, Prolly has played mid Kayle twice. They ran it both times against GGU in the quarterfinals. There is not a harder counter to Urgot than just Kayle ulting whoever gets swapped. So with that champion available here, honestly, Marn could be baiting themselves into a strategy that DNG has already prepared themselves for.
They had 3 games to sit back, well, 2 games as they used the composition to sit back and just check this out. And Marn has actually used the same composition, not with the Urgot, but continuously. I believe they had an Aurelia or maybe a Riven in the composition last time with something different. But these guys are central around a core pool of champions, and it's hard to get that. The things you want to focus out kind of make you waste that ban, and if you play it right, they won't even be a factor. But Marn makes it work so well.
It is really interesting because
mind-blowing.
Exactly, they don't actually play sort of most of those standard champions. So the bans that they threw out there, Kha'Zix, Evelynn, people like that, they don't play Kha'Zix and Evelynn. No matter whether they're first or second pick, blue or red team, Marn always is banning out those champions, and probably has drawn a lot of Kha'Zix bans. He is one of the mid laners who does know how to play Kha'Zix. Jace as well, of course, that ban coming out there. You're going to see Marn not even change those bans. Those will be the same 3 bans throughout this entire bracket.
And we do see Echo picking up Ezreal for the safety as well. I believe in the back room we were talking a lot about Ezreal within this swap crew. Would be a little bit safer, obviously. Even if you get swapped, you can get yourself out. Your teammate doesn't have to engage as hard. But something to point out here, we said these teams have never played together. Let's look at the bot lane that Echo and Prophet have been on teams before. And Heartbeat and Atomic, these guys have been formed on December 30th. They've had time to play together, but that composition, we've seen Curse use experience to their advantage, so experience could win that bottom lane.
Experience is a very, very big deal. Knowing player tendencies, knowing the kinds of risks they like to take, you know, their default item builds and how their movements go, what kind of matchups they don't know very well. They're absolutely players who are very, very good, but ooh, I just can't play against Riven well, or I just can't play against Olaf well. And those are the kind of things you can actually come out and abuse here. Marn, I mean, directly copy and pasting the composition they ran in the last game. But you look at Dirtnap Gaming, they've got 2 very easily applied shields and health buffs. If you swap Karthus, he's like, great, you initiated for me, thanks.
Yeah,
and Ezreal's gonna be far
great
back.
pick. You know, Probably is going to sit back in mid and farm his face off. If he is squishy, then the tactic they're trying to pull with the Karthus swap isn't going to work, and they'll be more than happy to crush him down and walk through a defile that doesn't do any damage.
The saving grace, though, the one saving grace here for Marn is that Ahri versus Karthus is a better lane for Ahri.
Right.
She's a really good lane bully, should be able to do a lot of great things. One of the best ones is that she can actually use her ultimate, all those 3 dashes, to dodge a lay waste and still deal damage with the dash. So she can walk around, stay just outside of defile
Super
range,
mobile.
dash each lay waste, pick off Karthus, and walk out without much pain on the back. And realistically, this Marn lineup, because I feel like their late game is much scarier fighting against Karthus, Ezreal, who are going to be pretty safe here, they need those mid-game pushes. They need Ahri to make moves.
And, you know, to bolster that Ahri point, we saw her take down Vlad at 1 Spirit Rush, max range Foxfire under the turret with the Ignite on right after his pool. So the mobility there is going to be huge, like you said, around Karthus. Ladies and gentlemen, we are into our final match of the day. This best of 3 will solidify a spot in the Season 3 Championship Series for one of these teams that contract that life-changing position. This is probably one of the biggest interviews of their life.
This is, this is really, really, really important. And both teams actually grouping up together. You see Dirtnap Gaming all running toward the top here. Chris waiting over the wall, shadow dashing over, because it's a little bit of a faster travel time getting to that top tri-brush. Marn, they're looking for a heavy invade here towards the enemy blue.
Yeah, Freak straight in, and we see the safe roll in from Marn here. They're going to keep themselves within those brush patterns as much as possible. And just a slow roll for these guys. We kind of saw this happen, you know, between D-Man and Kobe. We'll see if it's the counter to the counter to the counter. They exit, they enter. But it looks like these guys kind of have themselves rooted now within the jungles, and it looks like they're there to stay until the engagement.
You know, this is something actually that Prawley had said regarding their first round match against Azure, was that Azure's level 1s every single time were better than theirs. That every single time they got really, really spanked in their level 1 fights. So Dirtnap Gaming for the first time are really making some aggressive moves early on and trying to find someone here. But they're completely, you know, nowhere near the opposition right now.
What about a lane swap here? They have kept Lulu and
no,
Ezreal towards the top, so they will be in that position. They have the ADs going down
find them
bottom
here.
already. They will, Freak. It looks like they're going to push through, and they will have Claky D here. They're going to sit. They got to watch for Echo. They have to be patient. He's not even going to be able to help here. Claky D is going to go down for first blood.
Oh, what a great move there. They've picked that one up. Ahri trying to go for the steal, won't get it. Karthus actually going to get some free gold from the Wraiths, and this is a very good opening for Dirtnap Gaming.
Wow, super fast, super strong, and they just controlled that right off the bat. Claky had no idea. They put 2 aggressive wards down that were walked right around by DNG.
And that is why you see so many early game teams, especially the really, really top teams in Europe and Asia, will actually ward their main jungle entrance when they leave to invade because of things like that. They got hard countered by the level 1 movements.
So the bottom lane does not swap. It's going to keep that even. The Shen versus Olaf top, so that's going to be a complete farm fest back and forth. We'll be back there in about 5-6 minutes to see how those guys are doing. We'll check in.
Now Shen Olaf's going to be hyper aggro. Mega Zero's been fighting all the time. He's always trying to push his opponents out, and he's always come out ahead doing it.
He got to that lane quick. Chris was trying to come back, and you are right, Freak. What I thought would be the island is going to be just Mega Zero going so hard. Taking some notes from Tree Eskimo and just playing that aggro. JD Wu coming in from the bottom here. Chris has taken the damage, so we may want to bait this one in. JD Wu double buff, just waiting off to the wing. Mega Zero just playing it safe.
Well, Chris does have Shadow Dash, so anytime they want to go in for something, they had the opportunity. But yeah, Mega playing far back does buy them a bit of time here. Claky D trying to recover in his own jungle. It's not going to be easy for him. The other Lizard buff is still going to go to DirtNap Gaming. They're going to get 3-1 on buffs.
So that 400 gold lead from First Blood, it also was a respective assist for everybody else on the team here. Running through a ward, JD Wu alerts Omega Zero up top, and he continues to play safe. An entrance into the jungle. Claky D looks to be aggressive here. They do have vision on the jungler, so this is really helping them out, and they're trying to utilize, but Claky finds himself out. This could hurt his jungle a little bit. He's going to take some damage, but they're really biding time here. Ari coming down for this fight, probably actually putting himself in a bad position, but Prophet comes up to assist. It's now turning into a 3v1, and Echo's forced out. Claky doesn't have flash from the First Blood, and he goes down again.
That was a little bit too aggro on his part. He tried to pick up the kill onto Prawley, tried to bait that one out. Unfortunately, Echo could not land the charm, and that just meant he was stuck out a little bit too long. His shield didn't block a single lay waste, and so he just kept getting picked down. Really good job, JD Wu, to show up.
Probably now pushing this lane, knowing Echo cannot retaliate without that jungler. He is also not that low on mana, but they're both quite low. As you can see, Echo's now going to try to force this out with that Orb of Deception. Probably is more than happy to be right in her face, knowing that Claky is down. Once again, the Flash is still down, and just a few minutes ago, you saw Lee Sin ping it wraiths onto Claky D, so they know, again, they just want to harass him.
Exactly, and with probably having the early Golem buff here because of that kill, it's going to be so hard now. He's going to have to wait until level 6 to do anything.
Look at that, Lee Sin. JD Wu continuously in the face, or rather, I should just say right now, in the jungle of Team MRN. He is going to walk through a ward again. He has not timed that.
He's going to find Mega here.
He saw Mega back off from that earlier. If he just, would consider the time, he'd be aware of when to go back in there, but probably not knowing its place, not in his consideration. The double buff returns back to the jungle. The bottom lane, farming away Freak, 22-26. There's poke from both sides, but like you said with Tarek, you can't engage on that Urgot when they need to take him out early.
There's basically two schools of thought when fighting Urgot, and one of them is to go completely all in and burst him down because Urgot needs to deal sustained damage with the Acid Seeker, and so if you just kind of go in right away and just fight, you can tend to out-battle him. The problem is they're fighting against Tarek, and so you don't have that option whatsoever because he's just simply going to outburst you and they'll win that straight-up fight. The other one is to play very, very far back and try to out-sustain because eventually Urgot will run out of mana. Problem is, Tarek has a heal, Lulu does not. That's not going to work too well either.
All the persistence may pay off from the top lane. JD Wu finally finds a path into lane without a ward, but Mega Zero still plays it very safe. Not level 6 yet, so the gank could do a good bit of damage, forcing him out of lane if they can get it to come to fruition, with Claky D starting to head towards bottom. Really, the junglers not having too much effect in this game. There is an assist, or actually the kill towards Lee Sin as they come onto it, but we're not seeing them into the lanes. They're really countering each other.
There we go, Chris. You can see that Chris is actually trading and trying to let both him and Mega Zero get low on health, because the lower he gets, the easier this fight is.
You heard the go from the background, and they are going to go onto him. Like I said, not level 5. They are able to get the kill. 3 for DNG now, Freak.
That was a really, really nice job there. I thought it was going to be okay for Mega for a short time because the minion wave was pushing steadily towards his turret, making that dive harder and harder. It's harder to kill guys under the turret. The turret helps fight, but Chris did a really good job of baiting Mega into fighting him a couple of times to get him lower on health and deal damage faster than the health potions would recover him, so Mega was below half when they went in.
Freak, the jungler, the next one to hit 6 along with Prawley, so they could really get a global effect down now. They are level 5s, 1 level 6 in mid for Ari, so if they want to gank pretty much every lane, any lane I should say, they can. They can right now.
Exactly, they can completely ride off the back of JD Wu. Any place he goes will get a Requiem and a Stand United following up, so out of nowhere you're going to see 4, even 5 V2s.
All right, so Prawley still farming away in mid. We hear the players again yelling, the anticipation. You can see Prawley just laughing there. They're having a good time. They've cooled down a bit. Atomic with the Dazzle, I should say, and the Shatter. They're still trying to put some attack down here, but nobody's bottom. This is just going to be that 2v2 as they head back and forth. You can see DNG kind of considering the risk as they have no wards. They'll back off from that situation. JD Wu once again in the face of Claky D. He does have his flash back up, and the red buff could be transferred here. He will be able to slow, and there's the Shen ulti, the other global ulti coming in, and that is the level 6 impact of DNG.
That was a really, really nice move there. JD Wu timing the Lizard buff, knowing when it came up, because he took it himself.
Yep.
Of course, so did MRN. Claky D knew that as well, but again, the global impact, as you said, it was a 1-on-1, it became a 3-on-1.
Really advancing whatever they have to give themselves the upper hand right now. Dirtnap Gaming all over the map. JD Wu consistently keeping track on Claky D. He is giving him the hardest time Claky has had throughout any game, and it's almost like you're putting this man on zone. You just find him and you get him.
Exactly, and it's a really good place to go, honestly, because Nocturne, he needs a fair bit of gold to have really good impact in the game, and you know, he has good base damages, the Q comes out, the paranoia, he has pretty good presence, but the problem is, if he doesn't have some tank items, you just simply shoot him as the AD carry and he'll fall over.
He's gotta dive in.
Nocturne does not have defensive tools against AD carries. He can spell shield something, but he can't really stop Ezreal from killing him very well. And so until he gets some decent items, close to the Warmogs, maybe an Aegis of the Legion, he doesn't really have much that he can do.
We look at what they are rushing in that top lane. Looks like Giants belts have already gone on sale for Chris. He went and bought his already, looking for that early Warmogs here. Kind of just gives a taunt up to Mega Zero, dancing in front of his base. Nice backflip, Chris. That was classy.
That was pretty awesome. And we're just going to see Mega Zero last hit on turret. Meanwhile, MRN still, they had the advantage in the bottom lane. They all went back to buy, though, and now it's pretty much tied up here. Echo on Ezreal, actually ahead in minions. They're going to want to keep it that way. Honestly, you saw the fights go a bit better for MRN overall in this lane, but they're not zoning him out like they did with Vayne last game.
Yeah, the control has really just been towards that top lane, towards Mega Zero a few times, but on Claky D. The focus all the way up top, probably doesn't have to move, as he said before. He's Karthus, press R, be happy. He has his blue buff, and it looks like he's got that for another 75% of the duration. JD Wu, a focus towards the top lane again. They just got vision as Nocturne went from Wraith down to the bottom. So, you know, peace of mind, map awareness, DNG on top of their game right now.
And Chris doing it very, very well. He's pushing the minions up just fast enough that JD Wu can sneak through the brush. This is the exact same gank as last time here. Mega Zero's not going to get himself into fights. He knows he's behind Chris in a one-on-one, but they might dive.
There's a thing going down on bottom as well. Claky D is setting up for the tricky ganks just like he likes. There is the Dazzle going down, the switch around. They're going to try to focus down onto Prophet here. They are going to get Lulu. Echo forced out of this one. The engagement going down up top, as well as Olaf running back and forth. Mega Zero only hurt a little bit, but you were right, Freak. They wanted that blood, they wanted that up top. Probably taking some good damage. Turns on Defile, hits the lay waste, and Echo changes his mind about that engagement.
Well, at least he burned the exhaust. Once he was exhausted, he knew he didn't quite have the damage output anymore. With his dashes being down, he did not want to risk taking a bunch of Qs to the face. For this Dragon, though, the kill at bottom, it bought them enough map control. And I love that move done here by MRN. This was a actually long-form strategy. Kill whatever you want, just make sure you have a numbers advantage, and then turn it up.
Whoa, Ezreal diving in to try to get Dragon. He actually stops it. Beautiful control with the Requiem from Karthus, but they're going to have to engage inside. They both have gap closers to get out of this one over the wall. Chris waiting for it to come up. They are not able to get Dragon, but they save themselves from what could have been very bad.
That was such great coordination by MRN. That was a very scary situation. Ezreal jumps over the wall and says, "Come fight me, bro." Suddenly a shield, the Requiem. That is very easy to misplay, but they knew they were not fighting against a smite. They knew the Dragon was secured. And what I really like that they did is because they pulled back, Dragon will attack the closest thing to it. When MRN ran back, Dragon switched and attacked Chris. And then immediately Dirtnap Gaming said, "We can't fight a 2-on-5. Dragon's on your side now."
Really great moves. A big impact play there from MRN. They needed it a lot, Freak. They're down by 1,000, which means that was quite a deficit just before that Dragon here. 12 minutes into the game, Mega Zero's lane has been taken out, but we've seen what happens to an Olaf when they're allowed to just farm away.
It does get into a scary situation. The Dragon Ball picked up there. Thank you, Kobe24, for the nickname on the Kindle gem. And you're going to see the heartbeat there the poke there on heartbeat. It is a kind of painful thing, but again, they're fighting against a Taric, and that Taric not only has a heal, but that Shatter Aura giving bonus armor. I don't see Heartbeat losing this lane. They'll just be able to keep poking.
So this is really interesting, and maybe it doesn't change any things, maybe it does. The Sunfire Cape finished on Shen first. To say that the tower has not gone down in Olaf's lane, wow, probably getting attacked here. It is going to be that Spirit Dash, and you can see probably trying to throw out Lay Waste, but to no avail. There's a lot of speed and mobility around him. He could get out here. Right, JD Wu coming into the fight, and he may find himself a double kill. He connects the Resonating Strike. Does he have the ultimate up? He does not. He used it, and he's getting out of that one alive.
I cannot believe Karthus just tanked out that last little bit of damage and survived. The clutch shield from JD Wu made that one happen.
So as I was pointing out earlier, the Sunfire Cape on Shen instead of the quick Warmogs, because that tower is down up top and he has the ability to split push past. Is that why? Or is it just Sunfire over Warmogs anyways.
Generally speaking, Sunfire just comes first
Right
because you pick Shen for two reasons. And one is to be a pretty good bully in lane and a late game split pusher, but it's also really important to be a mid game split pusher. And so having that early presence, getting the minions down, and even on top of that, it's a pretty good dueling item. Because you're a tanky guy, because you die so slowly with your shields and heals, that damage output from Sunfire adds up pretty quickly.
You said that lane was aggressive, Freak, and that would definitely help at an Olaf whacking at your face if you're doing consistent damage over time.
Yeah, Chris is going to be always sticking onto an AD carry, so the armor and health and just the burn is going to add up quite a lot.
90 to 76 in that lane, so it looks like although Mega Zero has been going hard, we've seen a lot of aggression. Chris has been able to grab that CS lead. He does also have 2 kills. 5-1 is the score right now. And really, CS doing mid, back and forth. 1 kill to Karthus with 3 assists, so he's going to scale a little bit better. His global presence is going to hurt a lot more. And Marn has to worry about a few windows here, Freak. They have the Shen ultimate to worry about. That's a window. The Karthus ultimate to worry about. So they have to be very cognizant of those times and know just not to engage. You really can't do anything.
Absolutely. Unless they go on as a full 5-on-5 where the champions are in their face, going in for a 3-on-3, unless it's against Shen and Karthus, they will know that they're fighting against very, very poor numbers. That's why you saw that prior engage at the bottom lane where they killed Lulu and Dove. That was in the window before those ults were back up. They would have been used if they were available. The thankful thing here for Marn is that Karthus and Shen have almost the exact same cooldowns on the abilities. That only changes when Karthus grabs Golem buff. Up before that point, they know that they're both going to be up or neither's going to be up.
Freak, we are seeing deja vu. I think if you ran it back onto Prolly, actually, there it is again. Prolly has actually got out of the last fight we saw, so he is going to be in this one. He doesn't have that summoner spell up. He is looking to stay alive here. The flash on. Echo wastes that, so Chris may be able to catch here, but it's going to be the Requiem to finalize, and I guess not worth it.
Honestly, no. I mean, they almost had enough damage to pick him down despite Shen, but the exhaust was so well timed by Prolly, he bought enough time for Shen to arrive.
Ladies and gentlemen, 15 minutes into the game, Riven Freak here bringing you the final matchup of the weekend, the North American qualifiers for the LCS going live right now, 7-2. Dirtnap Gaming taking on Team Marn as they have fought their way through the brackets. Marn being the last 5v5 ranked team from the online qualifiers, even in the tournament to hold a placement. We have an IPL qualifier coming in as well from Dirtnap. And here's a fight onto Atomic. The Lulu ultimate growth to shut down the Urgot. So that factor works in a 2v2. Can they finish the next kill? The double kill doesn't come up. No, Echo looks strong. Just missing the Mystic shot at max range.
Oh, that was harsh. Really, really nice play there. And yeah, the clutch safety power coming out from Lulu was so very good. Even though the Ezreal ultimate completely whiffed, they just put out more damage. And interestingly enough, Heartbeat did not get out his exhaust or his flash in that battle. So while they did exhaust Echo, he cleansed it. They exhausted Heartbeat, he was shut down.
Very formidable fight down bottom. Marn finds himself in a 6-kill deficit, and the gold grows in favor of Team Dirtnap Gaming right off the bat. 24,000 to about 20,000 right now. That 19.8 Marn. Echo getting almost out of position here. He is forced to go through the wall. They get the slow on, and he's going to be forced to use his ultimate there. A lot of what Marn has been doing with their ultimates is to disengage, Freak. This is scary for them.
Unfortunately, yeah, the pushes in have been so good from JD Wu. They've forced cooldowns to be used defensively. This game was supposed to be a lot of mid-game aggression by Marn. They needed Ari to roam around, either to pick up kills on Prolly with Nocturne or to pick up kills in the bottom lane and shut down Ezreal. If this team kills off Ezreal, like I said in the beginning that if you swap Karthus, you just kind of, he's happy to get swapped into the base because he'll do so much damage with his passive. But if Ezreal is shut down and does no damage, they can just go on Karthus, swap him, give him, and then run back. They can take a long battle because the AD carry won't do any damage to them.
You know, it seems like what that Marn is working towards is, you know, they wanted a little bit of mid-game, of course, but once they get that frozen heart on Urgot, once it's just like, I'm going to swap with anybody and you can throw everything at me. He's like a Taric with more armor once he puts that shield on. And it's really been the factor for them where they're just like, you want to attack Urgot that much, we'll just crush the rest of your team.
Exactly. Having a tanky Urgot is really how you just build that champion, but we've got a big dragon fight. This is going to be huge. They don't have the Shen ultimate yet.
This is that first 5-on-5, actually 4-on-5, as you said, Shen being up top with his ultimate. The Shen ult just ticking on. We're going to see him using that coming in on JD Wu, and they are going to be dropping Atomic quite quickly. KD forced out of the fight. Prowley is right in the middle, getting all the damage he wants, but is it enough for his team? The Requiem comes out with Nothing on the kill. Slivers of health everywhere. Claky D does go down to Echo as they finalize that. Good ward placement.
Yeah, that was so unfortunate. Claky D did get his spell shield up in time to block Requiem, but unfortunately for him, he recalled in front of a ward. Ezreal found him.
You know, so it was a 2-2 there, but it kind of works out that Chris, or Nocturne, Claky D died before Chris could get there because he took top turret. So, hey, there you go.
They traded a dragon for a turret ultimately.
Right.
It was a really, really good job pushing down and picking up that kill so fast that Shen couldn't arrive, because that would have been a whitewash if it were not for that basically forced canceled teleport. Trading dragon for turret, that's fine. Losing an inner turret's a little bit worse because they're normally so hard to get. You're just going to see Chris push bottom instead, most likely, and no one's going to care.
Well, the one factor DNG doesn't bring to the table this game, I mean, neither team really does, is a real speed factor to get around those outside turrets. So the split push is going to be slow for them, but they have the Shen ability to do it, so it's still scary. And they're warding up their own jungle now. You see the sight stones coming out. They're trying to get vision. They know they're behind in kills, but we've seen behind in kills. We've seen behind in gold. This is still anybody's game, Freak, and they are just right in each other's face right now.
Oh, outsmited. Claky D picked that one up. Normally when you're Lee Sin, you land Sonic Wave, then you smite and Resonating Strike, because Resonating Strike does percentage of missing health, so your burst is a bit higher. Problem is, he didn't go in with Resonating Strike, so his smite just let Claky D steal it back. So finally, Claky D gets his own red for the first time of the game.
Kindle Gem coming out onto Shen, a possible build in the Visage there, or possibly some speed for their team. We always see the Shirelia build at some point from the Olaf in that top lane or wherever he is playing, and that's going to be the movement they're looking for. They do have the Aegis coming out, Freak, so the team fight fruition, the auras, that Abyssal Scepter and Aegis coming into play for Marn once they get into them.
Yeah, the Abyssal Scepter is picked up just because it's a standard Ahri pickup. She's one of those sort of short-range assassins, and when you're one of those champions, you tend to just go max Magic Pen, which is Sorcerer's Shoes, Haunting Guys, and the Abyssal Scepter. The Aegis pickup is super, super smart. You tend to always get that on the jungler, and when you fight a champion like Karthus, who's going to deal magic damage to everyone on your team, giving magic resist to everyone on your team is the best choice possible.
And Freak, it really looks like Dirtnap Gaming wants to go into a strong fight. As soon as they find it, we see Shen, or rather Lee Sin, kind of itemizing for a quick burst fight. He actually buys a red elixir in the mid portion of the game, and we've been seeing that a lot more lately, and it's actually saved a few tower divers.
This is really, really smart. I really like Fortitude elixirs in general. There's actually a pretty good build path that splits the line between attack damage and durability. That's really, really core on champions like Lee Sin, because they have such good bursts. They have very, very good ratios. When you're a jungler, you don't get quite the gold to go for like a Bloodthirst or Brutalizer rush and just burst people out, because you don't get quite as much gold as if you were solo mid or something. But this sort of split line makes you very, actually rather durable, such that no one's going to really want to focus you, but you still get pretty good damage, and you can kill off Echo rather easily, who doesn't have any armor.
So Freak, we're getting to that part of the game where it's becoming the siege builds. We have the Tiamat coming out onto Chris once again. We actually saw him build the first Ravenous Hydra in what would be the professional scene. I'm sure it's been done in some tournaments online, but it's the first time we've really seen it, and he was able to 100% pressure his split pushes, but again, the static shiv on Ezreal to increase a factor of his kit that he doesn't have.
Yeah, it just gives Ezreal some good area of attack damage. Realistically, there's just a choice between Static Shiv and Phantom Dancer, and they're very, very close in stats. The real reason you pick one or the other is how well you can kite, because moving grants charge of the Static Shiv as well as attacking, so if you run around a lot between attacks, you charge that very quickly and it becomes more damage output overall. Basically, this DNG team now has a lot of area of effect damage. It's a good build.
And Chris going very hard onto Heartbeat. It looks like he may get the kill here, and he kind of puts himself in a bad position. He was on the way out, but he put himself on the way back in. He's going to go down here. Possibly, actually, he could get out. His team helps him. He does not go down. He puts himself around the turret, so he was unclickable, unpathable, but it's going to be a 5-on-5 as they meet here, Freak. They are going all in. The True Shot Barrage passing cleanly through the team. Claky D finds himself going down first. It doesn't look like they want any more of this. Marn is going to back off as well.
That was so incredibly close. The True Shot Barrage, I think, really determined what the outcome of that fight was. Great kiting by Heartbeat, popping the ultimate, so got a giant slow, and that allowed him to kite off Shen just long enough that his team could arrive to support him there. But the difficulty was that True Shot Barrage just hit Claky D, We talked about this in the beginning. Claky D is a bit behind this game. 7 deaths, not a heck of a lot of gold, only 5,600 there. He's poorer than every other laner in the game, and that just kind of puts him in the situation where he is a little bit easier to kill, and he's going to keep being that death.
You said Claky D's got to dive in, and it's going to be hurting if he can't do it. 11-4 now, Freak. It's getting a little more definitive, especially with the turrets opening up that map vision. Knowing that mid turret, having it going down first is bad. It opens up a lot of entries to the jungle. What's the retaliation here when you want to drop the other team's mid turret? But I mean, obviously they have to ward. Where are they going to go from here?
So the play here for MRN really is to get into 5-on-5 fights, keep this sort of split push game that keeps happening where Requiem shows up and turns fights around. They have to be really cognizant of that and get themselves into different situations. If they just droop up for a push, they're not that behind in gold. They realistically can go 5-on-5 things. It's why you saw them Dragon over and over again constantly on respawn. Unfortunately this time, DirtNap Gaming gets the choice on Dragon, so MRN can't force a fight here easily.
They are able to grab it, and you saw MRN trying to move down, knowing they were out of position just a little bit, meaning they didn't have the time there. It's not something that's going through their playbook right now, so they are missing a few key factors on the map. Now trying to push that bottom lane, they're doing what you said, Freak. They're trying to dictate where MRN is going to go. DirtNap Gaming has such control right now. And see if Shen can push off Nocturne in the middle. It looks like he will. 36,000 to 32,000 at 4,000 gold deficit still for Team MRN as they are now turtling inside their base. It's going to take a few more minutes until Urgot can really get into a position that he wants to swap, and he went for the Black Cleaver really quick.
That's a pretty standard build there.
Yep.
He's been rushing Miramana, rushing Black Cleaver as well. I remember seeing Glacial Shroud power through this build fairly quickly, but realistically this time, he's not facing a lot of physical damage. Chris really does a lot of magic as Shen typically, and so he doesn't need the armor right away. What he wants is just damage out, but he needs to burn through things because it happened once before. They killed the target of Shen ult before Shen showed up. If they get another one of those, they can have the fight turn around much better. It was 2 for 2 last time that happened. It could be much better this time.
Freak, we have to remember these teams have never played each other before. They don't know habits. All they really know is a champion pool and a few games that they've watched this weekend. And that's huge. It's something the Koreans factor into their play style. I know Azubu Frost plays so they don't have habits. It makes it one of the hardest ways to ever counter a team if you don't know what to look for. And right now, these two teams are kind of just at that aspect from being who they are.
Exactly, and that's one of the things that is really interesting about a best of 3 is sometimes you come into that and you know who you're fighting against. In this one, you don't so well, but being up in their face one-on-one, really playing those games, you say, okay, here's the kind of things to go for, here's these lanes I've really sort of seen the pressure from, and then you've got a game or two to react to that and make adjustments and make sure you're playing the best you can.
Looks like DirtNap Gaming getting a lot of rotation around here. They are just heading through that mid part of MRN's jungle, controlling everything they want, breaking it down as Chris in the top lane. And looks like he's just going to leave it there. He needs a jukebox up there or something. I don't know, maybe a Cho'Gath on Dance, Battlecast.
It's basically split pushing 101. This is textbook split pushing here.
You got to dance a little.
Of course, I mean, the dancing when the minions are gone, but really it's that Chris is shoving the minions into the turret, and then he's taking double golems away, and DirtNap Gaming, the rest of them, they're shoving things into the turret and taking the jungle away. This is actually, it's a slower way, but it is a very active way of keeping the pressure on and winning the game when you transition into late game. We talked a lot about this with the teams who could build an early advantage but didn't know how to end it. What DirtNap's doing here is basically starving gold. They're getting every minion kill in every lane, shoving them into the turret, and then during that 30-second buffer between minion waves, they go and take all of MRN's jungle. So while they're splitting lane gold and XP pretty closely, one team's getting jungle gold and one team is not.
All right, Freak, so we see the boot upgrades coming in now. Home Guard teleports Shen to come in, or Home Guard Stand United Shen, I should say, to come in, as well as that Home Guard Olaf, who finally finished that Shirelia's.
There they go.
They're going to have good impact here. Claky D, they have flash for this. The Shen ult is coming out. This could be a perfect time to re-engage the fight. They don't have any vision of where MRN is right now, and Heartbeat's going to do just that. Claky D goes in as well, and they're taking DNG by surprise. How will they take it? Probably is just wiping so much damage with the file, but he's out of mana. DNG still has Chris, though. They cannot take him down. It is scattered so much. Echo versus Chris. The Requiem finally coming out. A huge fight changer there. DNG stuck in the middle of 3. They just have a triangle of MRN members around them. The focus onto Chris. Can he drop Claky? The Sunfire Cape not doing enough damage. The final chase out here, Freak. It is going to be a long one, but they are going to be able to finalize the ace.
Oh, wow. The shutdown gold 432 going to Mega Zero. And I was watching Chris trying to see what he wanted to do at the end of that fight, and it was actually fight with Mega Zero, not run away. He spent more energy putting his shield back up instead of saving for Shadow Dash. We've seen that sometimes where they'll hop over a wall and just hope to equalize it out. But no, that fight went beautifully for them. The one thing that tripped me up was, you called it perfectly, Karthus ran out of mana. Let's take a relook at that ace because that fight was so close. Here you go, you're going to see them come in, and the beautiful undertow there by Mega Zero stopped the early initiation from Chris. So check it out, they just wait and they all in Echo as soon as possible. They actually wait, then they grow him up, but the dive is just there. They go for him right away, and you called it. Prolly does not have mana. They do not have damage output now. They don't have a way of killing this off, really. A nice initiation from Chris, but he didn't really need to. Echo was already going to die to Requiem. Chris could have spent time pushing down Heartbeat, Claky D, or Mega Zero. He actually chose a bit of a wrong target there. Claky D, of course, running away with no health. The rest of this chase is really just Chris not having quite enough damage to turn it back around.
And a great job there. We look back in Marn's jungle, and it's like they installed the damn security system in that thing. You can see practically everything, and that was the story of that fight. No vision for DNG.
It was really good. They kited out back and forth in that battle, preventing them from going down. You saw so many guys run away with a sliver of health, even despite Requiem.
Yep.
That's so huge. Disengaging properly is a really, really big point. I kind of want to go back over these games and point out how many deaths were avoided by people leaving the battle in time.
Voidboy repels.
Yes, Voidboy
God
repels. Perfect
know.
Zonias.
Yeah, right? All the things. So good. And we're going to have all the replays. I can't wait. It's going to be so amazing. So much action to come in these games. Ladies and gentlemen, we haven't even finished the first one. All the games of the day going to a best of 3. Marn now in their first game of their best of 3 versus Dirtnap Gaming. A spot to solidify themselves a contract in Season 3. They're now coming back. They're inching it back. Marn has been seen doing this within their games. They did well in the online qualifiers for the 5v5 ranked, but these games have challenged them, and they are figuring out mid-game what to do every time, and we're seeing that happen again, Freak.
This is a really good situation for Marn overall. They've turned this mid-game quite exactly around for them. You saw that. The uncontested Dragon. Generally speaking, Dragon is a really good litmus test of who's winning, because you'll see one team go for it and the other team will just be like, nope, not going to try. There's an example of Chris saving energy. He wanted a Shadow Dash to get away. So you'll see Shens pick and choose how they want to deal with a battle. But it really shows that Dirtnap Gaming, they don't feel very secure on the map. They knew they had pretty good map presence. They had some sight wards and saw that no one was near the red buff, but generally speaking, DNG's not looking to start a fight.
30 minutes into our first of the best of 3 here at our Season 3 qualifiers. The final matchup underway, and these two teams are just in that lull moment, figuring out what to do. Dirtnap Gaming is waiting for Marn to make the mistake. I'm sure they're on edge after seeing that last engagement. They know they didn't have vision, so that's an upper hand. It's obviously not going to be one of those fool me once, fool me twice. They're going to be strong on this. They have a lot of the summoner spells up. Flash is coming back up for Lulu. It's down for Ezreal, but what does that matter? He's Ezreal. So this fight could be very big coming in for DNG if they can make it happen. A lot of summoners are down for Marn right now.
I actually would have expected to see Marn try to force another engagement. Actually, JD was going to get the initiate. He's going to try anyway.
There's that Shen ultimate going down, talking about spells being down.
That's actually a very important cooldown because now the split push option is gone from Dirtnap. They know, both these teams know that teams know that Shen's ultimate is down. He's got basically a 2-minute cooldown, so 33.5 minutes roughly is when you expect that to be back up. The best teams will actually time that cooldown and say, guys, he used it at 31:15. It's about a 2-minute cooldown. Remember that at 33 and Shang it's back up. In the meantime, we can go do stuff. This is Marn's time to push kind of any lane they want because there won't be an easy counterattack.
Dirtnap Gaming controlling a CS lead in every lane, but the jungle right now, even the supports, 17/10. We can just see that gold. It's actually 11,000 in the mid to 10,000. Those are your 2 leaders of the cap. Actually, top lane is also at the 10,000 mark, so a lot of items coming into that full effect now, and really we've seen these teams go back and forth between it's that 6 item, but then it's like, all right, It's not about the champion anymore. It's how you use everything that you have at its final moment, at its 100%, you know, what damage can it do, what crowd control can it do for you. And that's what we've seen in the best of threes we just watched.
Certainly, man. And if you look at what, like, for example, the AD carries, we've seen basically 3 sixth items from these guys. It's like Warmog's Guardian Angel or Mercurial Scimitar. Here's the one where, like, I would most expect Mercurial Scimitar because it'll break the Urgot ultimate, and he kind of needs that to kite out. It gives him an extra cleanse for Taric, an extra cleanse for Ari Charm, an extra cleanse for the Fear from Claky D, and those are really, really important to make sure that he can break out of this stuff. Realistically, if you're Ezreal, you don't want to take damage at all. Or he can kind of succumb to that and say, yeah, you get to swap me, but I can run this Guardian Angel, and when I revive, you know, it seems to be the choice he's making here is Guardian Angel. I'm not sure if I agree with it entirely, but it'll probably let his Arcane Shift come back up, and when he comes up, he can hop over a wall or something.
A little aggression down bottom. You know, going back to the Karthus pick, I just love how it plays against the Urgot the entire time. He got himself tanky enough. Now he has a Zhonya, so he's even more of an untargetable champion for that swap. You're going to have now 4 people you look to initiate on with really the one they have. Claky D's going to have to dive away from the team. They do have Ari to mobilize and get in there, but they have to be together on this next fight. There's too much power from Prowly, and it's going to have to be a big dive for either team.
The one thing I would have really expected, or for DirtNap Gaming side, like to see from Prowly was actually Ryze. Because you look back and you look at Chuper, who played a very, very good Ryze and basically beat a team much like this, an all-in assassination dive team. And when they went and killed off his AD carry, he was just there on Ryze, dealing so much damage with the Manamune that he just killed off everything. They just like walked past him and he was just like Spell Flux, all this damage, Overload, Rune Poison, and they just all fell over in front of him. And now Prowly's putting out good damage on Karthus, but in an ideal situation, Ryze does that even better.
Maybe going just not against that Ryze with the mobility they have, all the close-up attack, but you're right, it does.
The global, of course, is there. I mean, there's other reasons to get a Karthus, but as far as that one situation.
So here we are pushing in mid. We can see Martin just trying to get all the vision they can. The 2 wards coupled in mid against each other, making sure they know if DNG is entering the jungle at any point, trying to make a different type of entry. That's why you'll see those wards down in mid. 35 minutes into the game, Marn, again, they're about down to 2,000 gold. It was 4,000 gold 6 to 7 minutes ago. Like I said, creeping back. Team Marn known for this, and they're trying to sign off onto the next page here. 13-9.
Their team fights are very unforgiving, realistically. This is, you see the score lead, and you see a 2,000 gold lead here for DirtNap Gaming, a 4-kill lead. They're up 3 turrets. They've taken, I think they're down in Dragons overall, but realistically, you look at what DirtNap Gaming's been doing, and they've been just kind of strangling the map the whole time. They've been using the global ultimates to great effect. You know this is a composition they have practiced because they're so coordinated with those dives. They show up to a gank, and everyone presses R and turns like a 2v2 into a 4v2, and it's worked out basically every time for DirtNap. But on the flip side of that, the actual team fights from Marn are so unforgiving. You saw them catch Arthalon like 3 times in a row to close out their game against Meat Playground. They can do the exact same thing here and just shut down individuals.
It'll be interesting to see if Heartbeat, again, doesn't finish the Frozen Heart. Maybe they're just going to allow the Randuins to do that. He'll itemize with the awesome items that it is to create and synergize with Urgot. But very cool that people are, you know, building, reusing, using all these new items in Season 3. Like we said, the Ravenous Hydra built on Chris just a few games ago, so very, very cool. Cool to see all these being utilized. These guys can make it into the win.
DirtNap Gaming, though. Yeah, exactly. They're starting on Baron, and this is actually pretty good because it's blind. There is 0 vision here. Marn has to guess that they're doing it here.
They are mobilizing. They have Olaf down bottom, so they are kind of taking him away. That teleport on Olaf, the stand united on Shen could make it 5v5 very fast. You are right. Claky D smites away the Baron. This is going to be a big fight. JD Wu stuck in the pit. He is turned around there from the terror, but it is going to be the reinitiate. Kicked away. The Dragon Rage does not allow for Heartbeat's ultimate to go off. Prowly using the Zhonyas, the focus to go away. You can see Heartbeat probably turn around and shoot him one more time. No, they're going to let Prowly go. That means he's going to have less time to ult. They finally kill him though, so the damage now to come out. I like that idea by Heartbeat.
Oh my gosh, and the difficult thing here is Prowly once again ran out of mana. Once again, he sat there at the end of that fight. Everyone ignored him until the end. He used a file to hit Baron, so he actually ran out of mana trying to rush the Baron down despite Claky stealing it.
Unfortunate is what that spells, and it looks like we have our first inhibitor turret of the game. They're trying to wipe out these minions, obviously going for that inhibitor. Freak, they have 10 seconds on this. It's only the support, but they're going to choose to back out. We've seen very careful play after this. Nothing rogue.
This was just an amazing fight by them. Everything went exactly their way. Let's watch that Baron steal into the ace, because that is the #1 moment of this game. Let's check that out. So you can see them milling up across the wall. Just beautiful smite timing there. 335 gold to him for that. JD Wu taking a lot of pain, but just simply the teleport in from Mega Zero, and it's just a giant cluster of 5. Already probably has no mana. You can see them all in position. They would get crushed by Defile here, but he is simply unable to contribute to the fight. Echo finally cleans that up with a stray Foxfire. Now you get to cast spells for free and card this ult, but it's too late.
That was so good that Heartbeat walked away, and he's like, you can't do a damn thing. And Echo's like, I'm going to kill him. And then Heartbeat's like, all right, I need to walk away now.
That was a very, very nice setup here. Probably
so good.
Finally grabbing himself his golem buff. That was, we've seen 2 fights go to the exact same circumstances where suddenly he was between golem buffs. The next one wasn't quite up yet. His current one had just timed out, and he used all his mana trying to kill Baron.
You know, for worrying about a Stand United and a Rec Room window, they're working on the blue buff window, and it seems to be working.
That's a very, very good one. Now, I can't, you know, and those are fights that were more or less forced by Dirtnap Gaming. It wasn't like Marn said, guys, Karthus is low, let's go in. It was, guys, they're doing Baron, we gotta go.
Yeah, Clicky D diving in, and like you said, just way too much used by Prolly without having blue buff. Baron taken down by Marn. They now have a 5,000 gold lead. They never fell below 5,000, but now they have it in their favor. They have laced up their shoes, and they are running for that finish line. They want this second game to come fast. They're going to be pushing this bottom lane now. No objectives on the map, Freak. They have free reign.
There's nothing they want to take. They'll get all the outer turrets here, and there's the push on JD Wu.
Oh, man, JD Wu getting swapped in. He was the first one to go down as well in the last fight. It looks like they are going to continue. No, they back off. Prolly throws on Defile. He has the blue buff this time, but look how low he already is on mana.
Exactly. He's down to just a quarter there, and it's just a rough situation. He does have blue buff, though.
He does have blue buff. Going to be wasting that mana right now. They're trying to engage. The True Shot Barrage came out. Wild Growth goes off again. It's now switched over into DNG's factor. They're using ultimates in the defense instead of offense this time. That was Marn's problem in the beginning, but this Urgot is just doing so much now.
He is a very large truck hitting people with all 18 wheels. He's got the Glacial Shroud, so the turret does not deal much damage to him. And you just saw him tanking it up as he pushed down Ezreal. They're going to be happy to back out here. They know that Lee Sin is coming up soon.
Solidifying a very big advantage now. 7,000 gold, 15-13. It was 13-9 last time we recapped the score at 34 minutes, so this all took 6 minutes for Marn to turn the tables.
That was just amazing over and over again. That's all I can say, but these last 4 minutes have been entirely in their favor. A clutch smite from Clicky D. Realistically, that did help them win that battle because you saw how close that fight really was. Yeah, okay, Prolly was out of mana. Yes, it was a 5 for 0, but so many were low on health. An extra 30-40 damage, 30-40 magic resist, a little bit of health and mana regen, which is the one stat Prolly desperately needed there. That would have been enough, I think, for DNG to have a much better fight there, even on top of course, the bonus gold and experience and everything else.
Dirtnap Gaming finding ways to safely farm now. You can see probably being very cautious, throwing walls out over into the fog of war. Marn being aggressive, and they should. There's no reason to let up right here and allow advantage back to DNG.
Exactly. They're sparing no expense. Atomic is wearing the Oracle's Elixir. They only last a few minutes now, but he needs it to make sure that they blind the entire enemy team. This team from Marn up to this point has been about these sort of cheeky engagements where they find someone, they catch them out, and blinding the enemy team is the best way to do that. At this point, they can kind of mash their faces into the enemy team. Even though Baron buff is timed out, they're still the stronger team right now.
And you know, Freak, they've moved their security system over into DNG's jungle now. You can see it kind of slowly creeping in as they rewire. Taking out this inhibitor turret, it looks like they're going around the horn on this one. Cannot even be stopped. Freak, they said this comp is uncounterable. Going into this fight, it could be the final one of the first of the best of 3 match here. It's going to be a lot of damage to Echo. He finds himself down. The 80 carry damage is none. and probably is forced out. The Zonias as well. These guys are scared and running. This is a huge push from Marn coming in, Freak, and it looks like it could be a finalizer.
That was a huge charm. They picked that one up. Chris does pick one up for himself. Requiem goes out. Echo, second time he Zonias that. They're still going, though.
Not too many home guards. JD Wu is still very hurt. Chris is really the only one with that right now, but it's a re-engage coming in from Marn once again, and they are going for the Nexus turrets. One has been dropped. The second is in their eyes. That road to the first game victory is right there. There's so many minions right in front of Urgot. He just stays heartbeat trying to blast away. The top of the Nexus so low. The first game going to Team Marn.
Wow, amazing play right there. At the very end, they were like, it's a 4v2, but we're at half health. They could theoretically kill us quickly, and they ignored all the other champions and just focused down on the Nexus. They got it in time. That last 8 minutes, that's all I can do, those last 8 minutes over and over again, just turned the game around. One more game, guys. You sort of call out champions like Urgot and Nocturne and say, and especially Tarek, and say they're early mid-game champions. When you scale past that, it becomes so brutal. When you look at guys like Shen and Karthus and Lulu and Ezreal, and they just scale and scale and scale, and they're scary champions 45 minutes in.
Yep.
But Marn, it seems like they just turn it on when it goes to 30 minutes, and they say, yeah, you're starting to power up. Yeah, Ezra, you've got 2 to 3 big items. Yes, Karthus, you have a Death Cap and a Zonias and a Rod of Ages. You're scary, but so are we. And they, over and over again, focused down on Echo, the AD carry that Ezreal, every single time they said, we kill him first, we kill Prolly
So
if he has mana second, and move on from there.
If he has mana. That was an absolutely amazing job done by Team Marn coming into those fights. They were able to pull out the Urgot composition once again that they say is completely uncounterable, Freak.
Well, thing is, it started out so well for Dirtnap Gaming. The first game right here, you saw it start out pretty well. You even saw their games against Meat Playground start pretty well for the opposition there, where they got a lot of early advantages, and they would win the lanes, they would win a lot of trades. The champions that Dirtnap Gaming chose, the double globals with Shen Karthus, that was a really good setup. That's a really good team comp, and you saw time and again that it won them fights. But the difficulty was, they had just a couple of teamfight missteps. Realistically, if those couple of mistakes didn't happen, the Baron steal and twice they fought without mana on Prolly, that could have been a different game.
You know, I was thinking about it right at the end there. After the Baron steal, after a quick inhibitor take, you know, it was more mitigation that they were buying. They were trying to be tanky for that next fight. But really, I think Home Guard would have kept them in that a lot longer. It was really only on Shen. We saw JD Wu have to return to the fountain to come back with no energy, nothing, not even any HP. Home Guard would have definitely extended that, but it would have been a fight back. There were rungs missing from that ladder for DNG, but they had the strength to do it. We'll have to see what happens in Game 2, ladies and gentlemen. One more win from Team Marn, and it's all over. Don't miss it. We're coming back with Game 2 of Dirtnap Gaming versus Team Marn. Don't go anywhere.